We're talking about a generation of 80 million people in the US, 2.3 billion people worldwide. So it's as many people in this generation as were alive in about 1950 on planet Earth. If we look at this generation as a set of values, part of the values have to do with money, a big part of the values. And that is because of what they've experienced growing up. 2008, they saw, whereas we saw the collapse of corporate America in many ways, they saw their parents who had paid corporate fealty to this system be thrown out of the system. And this engendered a huge distrust for big institutions, including universities, including government. Okay? And that has continued to ripple through the generation to this day. The more they learn, the more they share, the more this information spreads, the more the realization is we are inheriting a broken financial system in which we have to be exceptionally savvy unless it's an iPhone or a skinny pair of jeans or a really sexy car. We're not going to buy houses. We're not going to pay for things that cost more than they should. You all know that this is a generation driven by apps. The iPhone came out in 2007, only 8 years ago, but it has transformed the way they interrelate. And the takeaways for this generation are that things should be personalized, accessible, simple, fun, cheap, immediate, and shared. And because that is their world, they apply these standards and these values to everything. So when they look for a service, when they patronize a company, when they go to work in a workplace, and it's not one of these things, they're moving on, okay? Because in their world, you can just move on. So the more you can identify with them, the more those values align, the more loyalty is going to be engendered. Contrary to popular belief, they are a very loyal generation when you get the value system right. When you don't, they're completely unloyal and they have no patience, okay? Patience is a function of values and expectations. If you hit it right, it's there. So in their minds, borders are defined digitally, and more they're becoming erased. And this really is the first globally connected generation. So that's why the culture, their generational values are so homogenized. Even though they may be very different individually, the value system is similar all over the world. This is Mark Zuckerberg's photo of Facebook connections around the world. So you can start to see how deep this goes. 90% of the world is already within the reach of a cell phone tower. That's going to continue. We've seen this generation sort of start to flex its muscles as things that are important to them are threatened, like the sanctity of the internet. We saw them really manage, create, craft, and vote in the first campaign for a black president. And we've seen them sort of begin to flex their muscles in terms of their politics. What I assert is we haven't fully seen them develop as a generation because 50% are still in that nascent stage. So like a brain, very similar, we're seeing these neurological connections, but we haven't seen the brain function as a whole. There's a moment where your child realizes that they are in fact separate from the universe. And it's this powerful, stunning moment of self-awareness. I assert that this generation has not yet had that moment. And when it does, it will be unlike anything we have ever seen before. And I have great hope for what that may bring. But coaching, mentoring, correct nurturing, correct engagement through companies that are responsible can have a great impact on that future.